Hi. Are we alone? Can we talk? I need to share. That's right. I gotta tell you a story. When I first got married, I very quickly discovered that my wife and I had a key disagreement about the meaning of a word. That word was clean. Oh my God. My wife is a cleaning Nazi. Anything wrong, anything amiss, it's a disaster. So Shay, who made this big mess? Now, there's not a lot of options in my house. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't her. So I'll come running down the stairs, looking for the big mess. The big mess might be 3 little coffee grounds in the corner of the tile. I'm just like, whatever. And my wife is calling out a hazmat team to clean it. You think I'm kidding? Oh my God. No. Words matter. And people disagree about the meanings of a lot of words. Now you might say to yourself, how's that possible? We got our handy dandy dictionary here, for example, or even one on our phone, more likely. And it's all good, right? We all know what we mean. Just look it up. Here's the problem. That might work pretty well with what we might call concrete terms. Concrete terms are words that name something that has a material reality. You can see it, touch it, feel it, etc. So for example, sometimes when I'm lying in bed in the middle of the night, unable to fall asleep, and I'm thinking to myself, what is a Corinthian column? How is it different from the Doric column or the Ionic column? The 3 great columns of the ancient world. Then I'll get up, go to a book or a computer, and I can look up what they look like. Corinthian, Doric, Ionic. And you know what? They look the same way every single time. Because these are concrete terms. I'm not talking about the material concrete. I just mean they have a material reality. They don't change. On the other hand, we have a whole class of terms that we might call abstract. Abstract terms refer to ideas, concepts, emotions. These are things that we can't touch. We may say we feel it. We don't feel it in the same way that we feel, for instance, the roughness or smoothness of a piece of fabric. What we do instead is we say, this is what this means to me. Words like democracy, justice, freedom. Freedom. I remember the good old days of the Cold War. Damn, I missed the Cold War. And then when I was in the Soviet Union, the old Soviet Union, back when it still existed, and I had a friend who was probably a spy, beautiful Russian. Actually, she was Ukrainian. Back in those days, it didn't matter. And she said to me, with a certain amount of disgust, people always talk to me in disgust, you Americans have too much freedom. I didn't understand what the heck she meant. That's like saying you have too much chocolate or too much money. There's no such thing. Come on. What do you mean, too much freedom? How could there be too much freedom? What did that mean? I think I know what she meant. Too much chaos, too much disagreement. In an authoritarian government, right, everything is very orderly, right? Too much freedom. God, I miss the Cold War. You know why I miss the Cold War? Things were simple. West was good and East was bad, right? West Germany, good. East Germany, bad Germany. West Berlin, good part of Berlin. East Berlin, bad part. I was raised up in the Cold War. And in fact, I had such a strong understanding of West is good and East is bad that it actually affected my sense of directions. I kid you not. Now, I grew up in a small town. We were so small we did not have 4 directions. We didn't have north, south, east, west. We only had this way and that way. They go down over here and turn that way. We go over that way and turn this way. Got you everywhere you needed to be. But when I moved to San Diego, oh my God, I could literally not drive east, even when the directions told me to go east. I got invited to a party in Tierra Santa. I wound up in La Jolla. I missed the party, but it's a much nicer place. Sorry if you're from Tierra Santa, but La Jolla is nicer. I once was supposed to be driving west somewhere, and I accidentally drove east. It was a foggy, foggy night, and I wound up in Santee. Oh my God. It just, again, influenced my idea that east was bad. Okay, if you're from Santee, please don't take offense. The idea was, though, that these ideas of concepts of West and East, to me, had ingrained so many other ideas of good and bad, right? Democracy and communism, that it literally, in my case, affected my ability to drive for a while. I literally actually broke my own steering wheel one time because I was so upset that I was supposed to go east somewhere, and I went west, and I just slammed my steering wheel with my fist. I was a very, unstable young man. Let's just say I needed to calm down a little bit. So when you're taking on this argument of definition essay for this assignment, what do you need to do? You need to find a term that's arguable. Chances are pretty good that term is going to be an abstract term. Now, it is possible to have concrete terms be arguable, but they tend to be on very, very new technologies, things that people maybe don't quite understand what they are yet. So it's pretty limited, to be frank about it. I mean, if you try to do one, okay, but it's got to be something that's so new, people just haven't decided what to call it. For most of you, you'll probably want to try to find an abstract term. Justice, democracy, freedom, success, etc., etc. There is a handout for this assignment that does have some sample words that you can look over, and there's probably at least 3 dozen of them, and consider. Again, it's not an exclusive list. You can certainly go beyond that, okay? But I do want you to think about that. Now, of course, people would say, hey, come on, dictionary. You got a dictionary, right? Why don't we just use a dictionary? Why would we have to write an entire essay on an abstract term? Well, why don't we look up one of my favorite abstract terms? Love. How do we spell love? A, B, C, D. Okay, there we go. Okay. Let's see. Here we are. L-O-V-E, love. Strong affection. That's the first definition. Okay, I mean, that's not terrible or anything, but hardly seems like the stuff of all those great love songs and bar fights. Warm attachment. Love is a glue gun. That kind of makes sense, actually. You see couples holding hands or walking hip to hip, right? Like they're glued together. Attraction based on sexual desire. Is that really love? Well, I'll let you decide. A beloved person. Okay, someone that you love, but that's kind of circular, right? You already kind of mean love. An unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for others. I've never seen that. A score of 0 in tennis. I think we can disregard that one. Okay, I'm going to go with the first definition, strong affection. Okay, so now we go into the front of the dictionary to look up affection, because that's also an abstract term. There we go. Affect, affectation. No, not affectation. Where do we go? Where to go? Affection. Here we go. Tender attachment. Okay, so we're back to the glue gun theory of love. Okay, so now we got to look at what attachment means. Okay, we're still in the A's, thankfully. Don't have to keep on looking too far. Oh, not that page. Attachment. Legal seizure of property. That does not sound like love to me. All right, so what happens here? What happens is that our dictionaries are wonderful at telling us about concrete terms. I can look up the Ionic, Corinthian, and Doric columns in a dictionary that maybe is a little bit bigger than that one, that has drawings and stuff like that. Always like drawings. But with abstract terms, they just keep going in circles and circles and circles. So I want you to study Everything's an Argument, of course, chapter 9 in this case, for the argument of definition. In that chapter, you will see a number of strategies towards how to describe terms, which you will need to use in your essay. Okay? Remember, when you're defining a term for an argument of definition, it should be something which is arguable. What is justice? What is freedom? What is success? What is democracy? What do we mean when we say a word like hero? Right? Go to that sample list. There's a whole bunch of these terms. Then think about how you would prove this term to somebody else who might be thinking differently about that same term. So is an athlete a hero because he or she got a win, got a score, did something within their sport that was remarkable? What's heroic about that? And some people might say they are heroes. Other people would say, no, they're not heroes. A hero is something else. And then they would have to define what that something else actually is. Okay? So you need to look up the kinds of definitions. Just for your edification, let me just say the formal definition is basically your dictionary definition. But as we said, that's usually just a place to start. Operational definitions, what something does, examples, or very good and common way to show the definition of a term. Give me an example of what you really mean by the word hero. For negative definitions, I do wish you'd be careful about those. Negative definitions describe something by what it is not, which is fair enough, but it can't be by itself, right? You can say, well, this is not what that is. Okay, fine. And that's very helpful actually to separate two commonly associated ideas that you want to make different between love and lust, for example, that sexual desire thing. How is love different from lust? But it's always best to have more than just the negative. So, good luck with this new assignment. Looking forward to seeing what you can do.